Hello, Flat Earth researchers, debaters and debunkers. Having a bit of a unusual storm here in Phuket. Unusual for this time of year. Usually it's very sunny and nice and calm. But we have this storm that's been making its way down the peninsula. Global warming, I suppose, is the culprit. And so we should all be paying more taxes to defect the storm, eh? Give all our money to the military-industrial complex. Yeah, well, some of you trolls, you globe earth trolls that come along thinking you can give the usual explanations and excuses and make accusations about flat earthers not understanding and getting it wrong, and you just come along and pollute the comment section on the videos with inane, ugly bile and rhetoric and assumptions. You're all getting banned one by one. Not going to put up with it anymore. It's silly. I don't know why you imagine you're always too late. It's like closing the gate after the horse is bolted. You know, I mean, it's funny watching this when this guy Luz, the photographer, starts Brazilian photographer, makes videos about eye level and stuff, and you know, all you globies rush along to try and change this guy's mind. It's too late. It's too late. Once somebody realizes the deception and they've sussed out that they've made this really simple observation that the horizon always rises to eye level, and they've already gone through all the globe earth compartmentalized explanations for the observations we make and realized they're a load of bollocks. It's too late. It's too late to try and change their mind and come along with your ridiculous reasons that are not backed by any kind of scientific proof that they are somehow wrong. And this is, of course, what people have to do. They have to deny this simple thing: horizon rising to eye level. Have to deny perspective. Have to deny anything sensible about or logical about the observations we can all make. Have to convolute physics, have to come up with all sorts of weird and wonderful mental gymnastical ways to arrive at some kind of fantastic conclusion to fit the globe earth belief. You can't pretend you don't see it. I mean, you just end up looking stupid. So, I mean, this is it, as I think, as I said before, anyone with any real common sense and discernment can at least see that we make observations of the stars and the sun and what have you. You can at least appreciate that it can be interpreted in a variety of ways. Yeah. So you can decide, or you can assume that something, the Earth is a globe and it's spinning, or you can assume that it's flat and the other things are moving. All like moving parts of a clock or non-moving parts of a clock. You can interchange them. You can create any kind of model you like. And of course, they're all based on observations into the sky. So by now, you should all get it. It's you don't have to be some kind of astrophysicist, which is basically someone who comes up with imaginary physics and distances to this, that, and the other. People. And if you come along and say that, oh, it's a fact that Polaris is hundreds of millions of miles away and it's much bigger than the. You don't know. No, you don't know that. You just look like an idiot. You really do. You lack discernment. You're just repeating stuff you've heard from people who don't know any better and have just had to go along with the official narrative anyway. So deal with it. Grow up. I've had enough anyway. I've had enough of these kinds of people who have a dogged determination to hang on to the globe. I think enough of us have demonstrated that it's all open to interpretation, so that should be a foundation or a starting point for absolutely anyone, that you realise that we look at the sun, moon and stars, and we have to admit that we don't really know the distances, we don't really know what they are, and it's both a kind of subjective and objective to the individual observer. You take the fact that when you have a solar eclipse, you end up with these beautiful multiple shadows of trees, for example, where you see this shadow of the sun being eclipsed by the moon for every single leaf on the tree. So it's very simple to understand, but it may be very difficult to accept that each leaf has its own personal sun, and that's it, and that's how it is for all of us. We have our own personal sun, depending on where we are. Every horizon is unique, and so this means that there are literally billions and billions of sunrises and sunsets every day, because they each occur in the eyes of each individual observer. And this, of course, means that every single horizon is unique. It's all unique to the observer. You can't escape this fact of life. It's just the way it is. Once people accept that, we can start to get a better understanding of what this place is. It's mystical. It's magical. And yeah, it's funny to see the religious type zeal from not only the Globers, but a lot of people who call themselves Christians and club together to club verbally, verbally abuse and gang up on other people that, what happened to turn the other cheek. No need to mention names, you'll all see it going on. You'll see these people claiming to be Christian, but then they're just being, they're not being Christian at all. They're being, they're ganging up on people who they feel slighted by because things didn't go the way they expected or wanted. So this is what Flat Earth is. It's a learning curve for anyone who investigates it, even for those people who are doggedly determined to hang on to the globe. You cannot help but take on board some of the information and observations that are pointed out to you, no matter how much you fight it, ridicule it, how absurd you think it is compared to your dearly held beliefs. You have to acknowledge it, and that's all. These things are being pointed out to you, and it's up to you how you react, how you behave, how you think about these things. It's all an exercise in discernment and real life. So I'm just going to stop here and take care of something. I'll get back to you in a secondo. Alrighty, that's that little task finished. Yeah. So what's it all about, eh? What's the whole thing about? I mean, it is an exploration, isn't it? It's an exploration of our place, our purpose, I suppose. Yeah, religion doesn't seem to get us anywhere. Group think, group speak doesn't do anyone any good. You have to be an individual. You have to... We're all on our own journey. I mean, of course, you know, a lot of the time for people that do things in life, the shape of the earth doesn't mean much. But if you're kind of like a free spirit, you do your own thing. You don't really care too much about what other people think. I mean, you know, you think about the fear-based society that we live in from when we you know, we study, we go to school and we study, and then we leave school and then we got to lead our own lives. And I suppose for a lot of people, life doesn't hit you very hard in the face until much later in life. It depends whether you take the bull by the horns or you know, I can imagine that especially certain academics or people who have a career that you could call successful, very driven, single-minded people, which we do get in the globe earth, flat earth troll community. You know, especially these people that have built their success and become comfortable along with a belief in the globe, you know, especially teachers, pilots, or a particular... It's funny, isn't it? There must be like millions, I'm not sure how many pilots, I mean hundreds of thousands of pilots on this earth. And there is only one who has decided that it's his mission to defend the globe. And why is that? Because clearly the kind of person who's a bit OCD and is very obviously very familiar with the globe model, is convinced that it's their reality, and very proud of their ability to do flight plans in a jiffy and according to a globe earth model, and then you know, can't stand the thought that some hippie doing yoga in Thailand told him that he doesn't live on a globe because the horizon rises to eye level. That's not me. This was after Eric Dubay came out with his flat earth stuff. I mean, that just hit me like a brick when I heard that. Yeah. Horizon rises to eye level. So we have a chicken stall here, you see. We've got Muslims running the chicken stall. Of course, they don't run pork stalls. But this is in here in Phuket. You'll see Muslims and Buddhists or whatever working side by side. It's funny. You go to the market, and you might have, you know, the fresh market. So you'll have a Muslim couple selling fresh chicken next to someone else who's selling pork. Okay, so the Muslims don't eat pork, and they won't have anything to do with it, but they don't get in each other's faces about it. You do your thing, I'll do mine. So they stay very strong. They have the Muslims have a very strong, tightly knit community here, and sometimes they have a lot of sway in certain issues, but they're not. What's the word? Yeah, it's mostly live and let live, you know. It all works out fine. Everyone just kind of lets everyone get on with their own business, and no problem. And of course, something like the shape of the Earth wouldn't be an issue. I mean, I very strongly disagree with some of these aspects of well, that have been applied to the Islamic culture. You know, circumcision and certain things like that. I mean, I find it very strange that if you revere God and the perfection that God creates, then why would you feel the need to mutilate that? So that, you know, but I'm not gonna go and argue with them about it and take a stance. If, for example, I wanted to have a Muslim wife, I would have to, I think you kind of on a very basic level, you'd have to accept Allah as your God, and that would be pretty much about it. You might, whether you'd have to suddenly abstain from eating pork if that was something that you did, I'm not too sure. I mean, you could still get away with it. They wouldn't demand dedicated adherence to the religion. Obviously, if you were a woman marrying a Muslim man, then would be expected to wear the headscarf, as you see here. And you do sometimes, and it's actually quite it's quite practical. It's quite good. It keeps the hair out of the food there. You know, when Muslims prepare food, they're very, very clean. You won't find hair in the food and things like that. Obviously, it has some very practical implications. And it's not like you would never see a Muslim not wearing a headdress. If you saw them in their home and they're wandering about at home, then they don't wear the headscarf. They might wear a little headband or something. But it's not like they hide from men, for example, behind veils and stuff. I mean, yes, when they go outside, they dress up, and of course they'll just wear their normal clothes underneath. They'll, you know, jeans or whatever it might be, and then okay, they're going outside, so they put on their gowns and their things. Obviously, it gets a bit extreme sometimes with just a slit left for the eyes. Really depends on the level of them, but you know, it's not like it's something that women couldn't stand up against if they didn't agree with it. Of course, you can see that they, you know, the culture that they're introduced into is very clever at persuading. You know, it just becomes the right thing to do. You know, people are they grow up believing that that's how it should be. But then they're not, you know, they're not anti-Westerners for Westerners not wearing headscarves and things like that, you know. Then again, I you know, when I see women wearing very short skirts and things like that, it's kind of, yeah, it comes across as a bit vulgar to me these days, you know. It's like, I remember asking a Muslim guy once what the deal is, and it's just like, well, you know, if measures are taken to avoid a bad situation in which a man might get aroused, and you know, then you can just kind of avoid, yeah, you can just kind of avoid bad situations coming about, you know, unwanted pregnancies and what have you. I mean, look at what happens in the West, where, you know, it's very much a sexually oriented culture, and kids can't wait to just get off with each other, and gosh, I look back at that and it's like, yeah, if I see a couple of people snogging, I mean, you just don't see that. You don't see people snogging in the street here, or even at a disco or whatever. They just don't do it. Of course, you know, in the UK, people are in the pub and or on the streets, and they're almost like, they call it dogging, yeah. They're almost shagging each other on street corners and stuff like that. Of course, when you're young and stuff, you don't care, you just want to get your rocks off, but then of course the drink has a lot to do with it. You know, people just lose a lot of their sensibilities when they get drunk. So it's funny, isn't it? The police actually, especially around New Year or something like that, you know, you see the police out there around the pubs, they're basically looking after the drunk people. That's their job, to look after the drunk people. They might shove you know, people who are really, really extremely drunk and disorderly, they'll shove them in a van. But basically, you know, you'll have people rolling about on the floor and just getting up to all sorts of crazy, dangerous antics. And the police's job is just to kind of like, well, let them do it, you know, mother them. And so we grow up in this society that, it's so weird. You know, you see people here on construction sites with either flip-flops or not even any shoes. You know, they'll be down digging holes in the road with pipes and steel bars and pickaxes and shovels and what have you. They haven't got any shoes on. And of course, at first it's incredible. You can't believe that this is the way things are, and you know that in the West, you know, there are laws and health and safety issues and stuff. Yeah, you know, very sad story the other day where a Burmese couple were cutting sugar cane, so they're working in this field cutting sugar cane, and so often they come out, they had 2 young children. I mean, one was still a toddler, the other one wasn't much older, maybe, I can't remember the exact ages, but let's say the youngest one was about 2 or 3 years old, and the older one was maybe 4 or 5 years old. So it was the job of the 4 or 5-year-old to look after the toddler while mum and dad worked in this, you know, in this cutting sugar cane. So the kids were hanging about there on site, as it were, in the field, and the toddler went missing. Took them 10 days to find the baby, the dead body of the baby. 10 days, man. Breaks my heart, man, to hear that kind of thing, you know. It's horrible. Imagine that. Imagine. They basically had to cut down the entire field before they could find the body. Imagine, man, if that was one of your kids. Imagine the situation these people are in, you know, What can you do? What can you do to improve this kind of thing? Are these the kind of situations that we're supposed to do something about? Are we supposed to improve the situation? I don't know. So here we are arguing about the bloody shape of the earth, and there are people suffering horrible, horrible situations like that, losing their children in bloody sugarcane fields. Or having to work on construction sites barefoot. And you got people pontificating about it's like, you know, some people just don't have life experience. I think that's how I started off this thing. You know, you might, you know, we see people who might have made it up the career ladder, left school, they knew exactly what they wanted to do, they had the support of the family or maybe even their government, you know, they went through school, got the funding, got their qualifications, got into their job, did their apprenticeship and blah blah blah, and you know, then they, you know, they're able to buy a house, they're able to have a family, and you know, money and things like this have never really been a problem for them. And so they've got time and energy, and they've got this outlook on life that everything's hunky-dory. And of course they don't want their little world turned upside down by some uneducated riffraff telling them that, well, maybe life on this earth isn't quite how you imagined it. Maybe that's the thing, we just have to learn to see it from other people's perspective, and to do that you have to see it from your own perspective first. You have to understand your own place in this whole thing, realise that you're an observer, and I think a lot of the time we forget that. We forget that we are the observer, and we forget to observe ourselves, and then of course we can't make sense of the observations made by other people. Anyway, my battery's running out. Sorry it's a bit of a sad one, but it's a reality check, I hope. Thank you very much.